Hey everyone, this is Mike, and earlier today the 5.2 preliminary patch notes came out, so we're going to be taking a look at them together. I do want to say that my window is open, so you might hear a bird here or there fly by, because it is kind of warm in here and I would like some fresh air, so that's why you might hear some bird sounds in the background. I hope it's not too noisy. So, 5.2 will bring a multitude of additions to the realm. Adventurers every persuasion are sure to find something to enjoy in the new update. Additional stuff is Guardian Restoration is going to be for 5.21, so that is about 3 weeks after the patch goes live. And then the new Relic weapon, which is Save the Blades, Gunhilder, and then the Skysteel tools, which is your Crafter and Gatherer relics, is going to be in 5.25, which is 6 weeks after the patch goes live. So those are basically the dates for the additional content that is going to be releasing in patch 5.25. I don't know why I say 2.5. In 0.25, this is also going to have the new trial in it, which is going to be together with the Relic quest. So looking forward to that one. So let's scroll down, let's look what we have. Playable content, of course, new MSQ. This is all going to be spoiler tagged. You can see that it starts in the Rising Stones, so you have to go there if you want to start the content immediately. Chronicles of a New Era, this is for our trial, so this is going to be for the Edenverse. Not Edenverse, for the Ruby weapon. And then Eden, of course, has the Edenverse, starts in Amarang. So if you want to go and immediately unlock the new raid, make sure you go to Amarang. And then we have a bunch of quests that are spoiler tagged. Yorha Dark Apocalypse. This is kind of interesting to see that here in a 0.2 patch, because normally the new 24-man roulettes or 24-man dungeons, or raids even, always come out in 0.1, 0.3 and 0.5 patches. So it's kind of interesting to see that in a 0.2 patch, we're already going to have something new. Now, since this is only 2 quests, I'm pretty much expecting this to be some story-related content. Maybe some more stuff with going into the 24-man raid solo, like we had to do once we cleared the 24-man, to go and find those little secrets and stuff like that. I do not expect there to be a new 24-man raid in this patch at all. Definitely not expecting that, but it's cool to see that there is something new for it and that they kind of continue the story every single patch. Would be kind of cool. New side story quest for Fisher has been added. This will be for the sea fishing, most likely. Kitari Beast Stripe can be found over here, so very close to Fano, I believe it's called, this age, right? This will of course be the Beast Stripe for only gatherers, so you do need to be a gatherer if you want to do this. Also has a beautiful mount, by the way. And then you can see a bunch of spoiler tagged quests for them. Fair Skies has been added to Lihemeg as it is in its finished state. So if you go to the Fairy Beast Stripe area, like the one where you have like their playground, you can now have a different weather type there, apparently. Chronicles of New Era and side quest objectives have been changed to indicate elevation. Okay, that's not really a big change, but nice, I guess. Aetheryte shard for the Domen Enclave docks has been added to the Domen Enclave. This is such a missed opportunity. The Domen Enclave was a really cool place to be, but there was no reason for you to ever be there other than to just do your weekly, like, donations, I guess you could say. So it's kind of unfortunate that the Domen Enclave never really got used. It wasn't really the endgame city of Stormblood or something like that. So, missed opportunity in my opinion. New chapters to New Game Plus, gonna be Alexander, Omega, so basically all of the raids pretty much. And then some Hildebrand stuff as well, so if you rush through Hildebrand to just get the trials unlocked, now you'll be able to redo Hildebrand. It's kinda cool. New items available from gemstone traders. I do have a hunch that these gemstones might be used for the new crafted gear. Not 100% sure on this, but seeing how a lot of the current gear, when it came to, I believe it was mainly crafting and gatherers, requires some of these gemstone items, it might be a good idea to stock up on some of these gemstones prior to the patch, so that when they release the new items, you're not all of a sudden going to be like, shit, I need to start farming fates in order to make my crafting gear. Participating in fates that appear in seasonal events will no longer be counted towards certain achievements or challenge log entries. That makes sense, I would say. Rewards for Glider Skin and Zonur Skin treasure maps has been adjusted. This is going to be because there's going to be some new glamour coming from the dungeons of Lihahia, most likely, which we'll probably see a preview of later down the line as well. Grand and free companies. New craftable items have been added to the company workshop, so you're going to be able to make a new house if you want to look at that. Solo players may now advance production phases in company crafting. This is such a great addition. You don't know how good this is if you've never done free company crafting. So the way it works right now is if you want to do something with free company crafting, you need a party of 4 gatherers or crafters, I think it's crafters, present in your free company house. Now, if you're somebody like me who owns an incredibly tiny free company, it means that getting 4 crafters into your basement basically is not an easy task. So sometimes when I wanted to do free company crafting, I just have to go ask my friends if they were free, if they wanted to log in to come to my basement, or I would go to something like Limsa and be like, hey, can I like take 3 crafters with me for like 5 minutes to do free company stuff. So this is an incredibly good change. Following adjustments have been made to subaquatic voyages, new areas, new items, and the maximum rank has been increased. So you can basically send your submarine from your free company out to new areas and get new stuff. Maximum rank from free companies has been increased from 8 to 30. That is quite the jump. Rank 10 increases the number of company chest compartments to 4. Okay, so you can store more items. Increases the maximum number of inactive company actions, so basically means that you won't have to go to your grand company to stock up on free company actions too much. Increases the number of company chest compartments to 5, maximum of inactive company actions, and increases the maximum number of inactive company actions. So this basically means you're going to have more space in your guild chest. Ours isn't really used that much, so but for a bigger free company, if you're like sharing crafts and stuff, this could probably be very useful. And then the maximum number of inactive actions is going to be great because it basically means that instead of going to the grand company like once every 5 days, I think it is now that you do it, you might be able to do it like once every 2 weeks or something like that. So not too bad of a change. Private estates in housing wards 1921 added in 5.1 are now available for purchase. Oh, so there were a bunch of wards added in 5.1. And nobody could buy them, so now you can finally buy the house there. So if you want to get your hands on a house, now is the time. Furnishings from the design contest have been added. They look like this. This bed looks kind of nice, I think. And then more furnishings have been added as well. Also, is this like an... No, this is not an actual staircase. This is the one that's already in the house. And then something for outside as well. Aura mannequins, so you have another mannequin to display some of your gear if you want to do so. New orchestration rules have been added. This is probably because of also the new raids and then the new trial and stuff like that. Following additions of new orchestration rules, categories have been adjusted as follows. It's not too important. New aquarium fish, new seeds for flower pots. Angler prints have been added to housing, so it's basically the fishing log items you can now display. You probably have to like catch the fish before you can display it or something like that. Once a canvas is placed, accessing it will allow you to select a suitable fish from your inventory. Oh, so you do have to gather the fish before you can place it in this. So it's basically the same as an aquarium, but instead of being an aquarium, it's a painting on the wall. And then estate tags have been added under renovation or concert hall, so if you want to do some more role-playing stuff. Gold Saucer, Leap of Fate, new area. We talked about this in the life letter overview, so this is basically going to be a new Leap of Fate area that you can go and do. Adjustments have been made to the gate schedule, so basically if you're interested in Gold Saucer stuff, there you go. Following additions have been made to Triple Triad, so we have some new cards. This is from the final dungeon boss from, what's it called again, Amarath. This is from the 79 dungeon, Don Meg. And these are probably from dungeons as well, I would imagine. When playing Dome and Mayong, an opponent's homeworld can now be confirmed via the opponent list. I'm not quite sure about this, I never played Mayong. And new prizes are available for purchase using MGP. So a new minion that you can buy with MGP, it looks like. Following songs can be played using Performance Assistant, so some new stuff you can do with that. And new prizes available for Chloe's gold certificates are going to be changing. This is probably because, although, no, because there's no new crafting gear yet. This will probably be for like automatically pentameldable new crafted gear that's gonna come out in the patch. Then battle system, meditation gauge has been adjusted. Great change, I love this. I hope they would kind of do something like this for Monk as well, with the Twin Snakes and Bootshine stuff. This was really annoying to keep track of on your buff bar, because if you're in a raiding scenario, keeping track of your buffs can be a bitch. So this is going to be a really great addition. These are the meditation stacks that you get from using Iajutsus, that once you have 3, you can spend on your Shoha, which is your level 80 ability. So good change right there. New dungeon has been added. We'll see. Item level sync has been added to the following duties. Kinda sucks that it is like level synced. Well, doesn't really suck, I guess, because it's already went pretty fast. But it basically means that you can't just stomp on the dungeons when we are in like patch 5.4 or something like that. Music for certain instance dungeons boss battle introduced in patches 5.1, 5.0 has been adjusted. Okay, interesting. To help alleviate inventory clutter, certain items such as Void Sandbutt and Bat Fangs will no longer drop from enemies in instant dungeons. Very nice change. New trial, so the Ruby weapon has been added, and then Ruby weapon extreme as well. And then there will be an item change. This is basically to like buy... Oh, actually, in Mordona. Interesting that this is not in Yulmore, but okay. Gunbreaker and Dancer weapons are now available from coffers that appear after completing the Shinryu's Extreme. This is most likely going to mean that in this patch we're going to get crafted Shinryu weapons. Basically the weapons that have a cool glow to them. So if you have some old Shinryu weapons laying around, desynth them. If you can, like if you still have some Shinryu scales from back then, save them, because they're most likely going to be worth quite a bit of money once the patch drops. Drop rate for the Fey Gwibber and the Innocent Gwibber has been increased, so meaning that Titania Extreme and Innocence Extreme is now going to be an increased drop rate on the mount, and you can also trade in the tokens of the mount to just go buy the mount if you got unlucky. Eden versus Raid, and then of course Savage is going to be adjusted as well. This is exactly the same as it's always been, so head requires 2, body 4, hands 2, etc. So this is all for the normal mode raid, of course, and then this is going to be for Savage, which will most likely be about the same. Let's see. Oh, we even have the names of all of the Savages as well. Fulmination Savage, 470 or above. Führer, also 475. And then Iconoclasm and Refulgence are going to be 480, meaning that 480 is going to be our new crafted gear level, which we already knew. So if you get full crafted, you are minimum item level for the last 2 encounters. And we do have a 2-hour lockout on the final raid boss as well, meaning that we're most likely going to see something like Titan, I would imagine, where we have multiple bosses or something like that. They did this back in Stormblood, where we had multiple bosses to fight in the final fight, and they changed it with Titan, that it is just basically one boss that transforms, kind of like how an ultimate fight works, which I thought was incredibly fun. So it will be interesting to see what this final fight is going to be, because we still don't know what our 4th boss is going to be. Entry requirements, complete the quest, question mark. Basically means just finish normal mode, go talk to an NPC, and you have access to Savage. And then this is basically what's going to spawn. It seems like they are sticking to the coffer way of doing things, which I think is really good, because it means that you're never going to be wasting loot, which I think is a really good thing. And of course you can only get items once a week from each tier, from like each boss fight, of course. Item exchange, Eden's First Apocrypha per duty. Yeah, that's basically the books that we get once a week. And then these trade-ins are exactly the same as they were before. Following duties have been added to the Raid Finder, Duty Finder of Healing potency up effect gained from the Echo now applies to all HP restoration actions rather than healing spells only. That means stuff like Indom, Tetra, Lustrate, that kind of stuff would not be affected by Echo, and now it will be, I believe. Yes, because healing spells would be GCDs, just actions would be off GCDs, meaning that off GCDs now also benefit from the healing potency from the Echo. So, good change. Players will now receive the power of the Echo in the event all party members are incapacitated for the following trials. For Hades, I think Titania and Innocence already had Echo, So now Hades is gonna have Echo as well. All the way up to 25%, so quite a strong one as well. Adjustments have been made to the copied factory, weekly restriction has been removed, and the weekly restriction on the manufactured coins has also been removed, so if you want to go farm for some glamour, you can now go do so. Following adjustments have been made to Epic of Alexander, weekly restriction is gone, and then the item level will be synced to 475, meaning that it's going to be the same as last expansion. So you can basically just throw away the gear that you have now, keep your old gear, get synced down. And then once the dungeon gear comes out, that is going to be item level 475, you're going to be able to ruffle stomp on the DPS check even more. So if you had trouble clearing Alexander Ultimate in this patch, it is going to be slightly easier in the next one. And then once the dungeon gear comes out, it's going to be even easier. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, of course, definitely not. But the DPS check and the HP check will become a little bit more lenient with this item level increase. Then... wait, adjustments was implemented to preserve the difficulty of the encounter as well as the rarity of the achievement. Yeah, this is sim basically. Following adjustments have been made to elegant tomestones. It basically means we are going to be having new elegant tomestones. They are going to be called... I think we saw that already at some place. Let's just read, I guess. Oh yeah, Allegory. 450 a week, can carry a maximum of 2k. Players can only receive elegant tomestones of Allegory after reaching level 80. Yes, expected. Weekly limitation on elegant tomestones of Phantasmagoria has been removed because this is our new farmable tombstone. Maximum tomestones of 2000, that's normal. Goetia no longer obtainable. Prior to patch 2 will not be lost. All trials duties where elegant tombstone Goetia could be obtained will now offer Phantasmagoria instead, that's normal. If you want to trade in your Goetia for Phantasmagoria, go to Mordona. This is the usual place where we trade our tombstones. So nothing too surprising here. Elegant tombstones of Genesis and Mendacity have been removed from the game. So these are the old ones. They already weren't obtainable anymore. I believe these were from Stormblood. I'm not 100% sure, but I think those were from Stormblood. Duties listed with Expert has been changed. Oh, cool. So we are not gonna get 5 dungeons, we are indeed gonna get Grand Cosmos and then the new dungeon, and then we are most likely gonna get, yeah, exactly level 80 dungeons as well. So these 3 will have will be in a level 80 roulette, which is probably why they level capped them, or I level capped them, and then these 2 will be our new Expert roulette. So Expert won't have a very big variety in it, unfortunately enough, but maybe, who knows? When the next dungeon comes out in 5.3, maybe we'll have 3 dungeons in the Expert roulette again or something like that. We have to wait and see for that. Cinder's Drift added to Trial Roulette. Copied Factory added to Alliance Rage. It's nice, but I'm expecting this to never come up in your Alliance Raids because most people do the item level cheese, where they get a Realm Reborn trial, basically, or Alliance Raid. Normal raids, Eden's First added to that as well. Duties listed within the Duty Roulette Mentor has been changed, so that's basically the new stuff for Mentor Roulette as well, if you want to do that. So you do have to make sure that you unlock all of this new stuff before you can do the Mentor Roulette. They did say that the dungeon is going to be pretty far into the MSQ, so if you want to do your Expert Roulette on reset day, it might be worth hopping into MSQ as soon as possible, although I guess you do still need to do all of this other stuff as well. Number and types of elegant tombstones received from duty has been adjusted. Basically, this means Goetia and Phantasmagoria is going to change to Phantasmagoria and Allegory for all of this stuff. Elegant tombstones awarded for defeating elite marks. This is the same, basically adding Allegory and Phantasmagoria where it was the other one before. Tombstones received from Deep Dungeon has been adjusted. Same thing here. And then for Dungeons of Lihahia as well. And then we have some new stuff for Stone Sky Sea. Matching system has been adjusted for Frontlines. This is PvP. Item changes, new items have been added. This is the raid gear, if I'm not mistaken, so you can already have a look at what that looks like. And then over here we have the crafted gear for the range. This looks really good. Kind of interesting to see how it will look on a Lalafell, because of course Lalafells sometimes have some issues when it comes to how gear looks on them. Because it can look really good on a big character, but on a small one maybe not as much. New recipes have been added. This will be the new piece of glamour that you can get from the dungeons of Liahiha, I would imagine. Does look kind of alright. New master recipe books have been added, very important for people that want to go and craft crafted gear on patch day for the raiders. Make sure you stock up on scripts, because it means you will have to buy new master recipe books, and these will be bought with most likely yellow scripts, would be my imagination. Following items can no longer be used. Mission Ceruleum and Ceruleum Voucher, this is for the old Diadem. So if you would go into Diadem via a free company workshop like Airship, you would use these items, but since the Diadem is now going to be part of the Ishgardian Restoration, you don't need to use these items anymore, so they're basically going to be changed to something else most likely. Following items are now categorized as seafood, not bone, these kind of things. Prices have been adjusted when purchased from vendors for Demi-Materia 1, 2 and 3. They did say that they were going to change this. Also means that the selling price is going to be different, so you won't be able to make as much money from getting Demi-Materia, I guess. No huge change in my opinion. Following adjustments have been made to materia. Can now be extracted from fully spirit-bound gear without losing the original item. Furthermore, materia can be melded to gear regardless of the crafter class. This is an incredibly good change, meaning that if you fully spirit-bound something, you don't have to convert the gear anymore and lose it. Now you're just going to be able to get materia from it. And you being able to meld gear regardless of your crafter class is good as well, because before you needed every crafter at level 80 in order to meld gear. Now you only need one crafter at level 80. So pretty good change. Requirements for materia melding. One or more classes, including Culinarian, are of equal or higher level than the level required to equip them. That's basically what I just said. Materia melding menu can now display items that have reached the maximum number of melded materia. Don't really see why this is super useful, unless... Oh yeah, we can now basically extract materia from items through this menu as well. So that's why you can display maximum melded materia already. Number of materia held is now displayed during materia melding process. Can be useful for when you're over melding and you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna run out or something like that. But it will not display when you're melding for another player, so you can't see how many materia some other player has. Certain items can now be sold, desynthesized, submitted as expert deliveries, or used in materia extraction. This will be the Eden's Gate raid gear, as well as primal weapons and stuff like that, I would imagine. Following items can now be equipped regardless of gender. No idea what these are. Tailcoat of Eternal Innocence kind of stuff. We'll have to wait and see what those are. I'm not quite sure what these items are, but basically, doesn't matter if you're a male or a female, you can now equip these items. Crafter changes. All classes. New actions. Veneration, acquired at level 15, increases the efficiency of synthesis actions by 50% for the next 4 steps. So this is going to be a buff to progress. Cool. Groundwork increases the progress at a greater cost to durability. Efficiency decreases by half when the durability is below the durability cost. Meaning that this is going to be probably a good action to use when you have high durability, but it's not going to be good as like a final like synthesis action before your gear would break. So if you only have like 5 or 10 durability left, this is probably going to cost more than that. I wouldn't use this because then the effect gets halved. So you just want to use this to get initial synthesis done, I guess you could say. Following crafter actions have been adjusted. Inner Quiet control bonus can now exceed 3k. Okay. And innovation effect changed from increases synthesis touch actions by 20% for the next 4 steps to increases the efficiency of touch actions by 50% for the next 4 steps. So they're basically making it so that veneration is now going to be used for synthesis. Innovation is only going to be used for quality, basically. So you don't use innovation for both anymore. But on the other hand, it is made 50% instead of 20. So if you can work around the fact that innovation is only going to work for either of these, you basically just want to use it to buff up one of the two. Which I think is a cool change. I don't think this will make crafting harder at all. I think it would actually make it easier. Following actions have been removed: ingenuity and reuse. Reuse was useless in my opinion. It always gave back the same item and it cost a whole lot of CP, so we have more variety, or well, I guess more CP to spend on actual crafting actions now if you wanted to use reuse. I didn't really use it all that much outside of like 5.0 where I was trying it out. I didn't like reuse at all. Ingenuity being gone is going to be interesting, but on the other hand, we do have the new innovation and veneration, so we'll have to wait and see how that works out. But ingenuity being gone, it's kind of strange. It's going to feel weird. It's kind of like how steady hand is gone now as well. Also feels weird to not have that. It's now easier to increase progress and qualities for recipes higher than your current level. Okay, so they're just straight up making crafting easier. Due to the changes to the crafting system, required progress and maximum quality of certain recipes has been adjusted. Has been reduced even. Okay. Required collectability of certain collectibles has been reduced as well. So collectibles, normal HQ crafting has all become easier to make up for the fact that crafting has changed yet again. Calculation feature has been added to the crafting window. You can basically now see how much something is going to do on a number, which is going to be really good because you can basically see, oh, I need 2 progress actions, for example, to finish it instead of just 1. So you can kind of calculate stuff more now. I think this will be pretty good for people that are figuring out macros, for example, but once macros are in the game again, I'm pretty sure nobody's going to use this. But it's pretty good to figuring out the macros at least. Due to the addition of the calculation feature, information relating to progress and quality increases at 100% efficiency is no longer displayed in the synthesis window. Okay. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the crafting log. Basically, this is the implementation of like an actual, how should I call it, like a crafting list, I guess you could say, where you can go and craft and gather all of the items that you need for a specific amount of material. So basically, the more they make this into the game, the less stuff like team craft and stuff needs to be used. And since it takes some time for those websites to update on patch releases anyways, this is going to be really useful for people that want to go and gather and craft the new gear at day 1. Following adjustments have been made to decent, level cap has been increased, and stacked items can now be decent one after another. So you can basically just click retry decent everything. Adjustments have been made to the materials gained from decenting, the synthesis skill required for certain items. Some features such as targeting are unavailable during descent. This doesn't really matter. Effect of food and medicinal items will no longer expire during crafting. This is great. So basically what could happen before is, say for example you have 1 minute left on your food and your CP potion. For the CP potion this wasn't really a issue because the CP locks in as you start the craft. But for example, if you're using a piece of food that gives you more craftsmanship, if that would run out before you finish the craft, all of a sudden your craft would most likely fail, since crafting is a very optimized process, meaning that you allocate your actions basically that it's just enough to reach the progress, because you're mainly going to be focusing on quality. Now, if your food were to drop midway and all of a sudden your craftsmanship goes from, let's say, 3000 to 2600, you're not going to be able to finish that craft anymore. So it's really good that food and medication is not going to expire during the craft anymore. Sound effect to indicate a HQ item has been changed. I don't see why that was needed, but sure. Then Fisher, patience, powerful hook set and precision hook set have been changed when it comes to when you acquire it, and also the CP cost, or the GP cost. So this is a good change, because this basically means that you're not going to be relying on cordials anymore. What you would do before is you would pop patience, which cost you a whopping 470 GP, and then you would use a cordial to get the GP back to use powerful hook set and precision hook set. And right now, since it only costs you 200, you're going to be able to use these actions without needing to use a cordial. Of course, they did drop the duration by more than half, but I do think this is a good compromise to you now not needing to spam cordials anymore. So I think this is a good change. Confirmation window will now appear when canceling gathering at a legendary or an unspoiled node. That's alright if you like accidentally press escape or something like that, but other than this, it's not going to make a huge impact. Following favor items for gatherers no longer have an effect and adjustments have been made accordingly. These are items that basically once you had the item, I think you had, say for example you have 5 items, it would meant you could go to a legendary node 5 times without you needing to have the master book for that legendary node. So they're basically getting rid of all of that. This is all for the old content, this is all for Heavensward stuff. So normally you should have these books by now, I would say. And even if you don't, getting these books is incredibly easy now. Can no longer be obtained. If you have these in your possession, can be exchanged for Blue Gatherer's script, meaning that you can, Blue Gatherer's script tokens, meaning that these are used for, I believe, the Master Gatherer books anyways. So if you still have these, you can trade these for Rowena's tokens, and then you can trade those tokens for the books. Can be sold to vendors, and help text has been adjusted accordingly. Items that could only be gathered while under the effects can no longer be obtained, and adjustments have been made. Oh, actually, maybe, because I might be remembering correctly, because it's been like 4 years at this point. But I believe you needed these to gather specific items, and those items were traded for gathering books. And those are these items, I think. If you have any of those in your possession, can be exchanged for Rowena's tokens again, and then token reclamation can no longer be traded or sold on the markets. Basically, this is all old content, so if you have the gathering books, you don't have to care about any of this. Following items are now available from Splendor's vendor in Idleshire for those script tokens. These kind of things if you want to go get them. Adjustments have been made to the animation when to indicate a bite when fishing. Depending on how strong the bite is, it's going to change this. This is good for newer players, and even for existing players it's nice to have a little bit more of a visual indicator. You can change the display settings under battle effects. There's like a plane trying to pass by. Okay, never mind. Doesn't look like it's gonna be too loud. So yeah, basically new fisher animations. I think that's a good addition. Versatile lures have been added to catch a wide variety of fish. Can be bought in Limsa. And this is the NPC where you can go buy it as well. Good change, because basically when you went fishing with like a bunch of different lures, you would get a lot of inventory clutter, so this is really good that we just have an all-purpose lure now. Messages played when failing to meet requirements for sky fishing and dune fishing is changed. Gathering log and fish guide now display the following information. Not included in the gathering log or in the fish log. New minor botanist gathering points have been added, was to be expected. New items have been added to gathering points, also to be expected. This is for the new crafted gear. New fishing holes, new fish, this is probably going to be for new food. A level of certain fishing holes in Raktika has been lowered to 70, okay. New teeming waters, new varieties of fish, and then of course ocean fishing. This is the new fishing endgame piece of content, which apparently you can do at level 1. Okay, never mind, it's not only endgame. This is where you can unlock it, Limsa Laminsa. Viability and routes, I think the boat left like once every 2 hours or something like that. Versatile lures can be used. There are other types of lures created especially for the Endeavor. You can purchase these lures from lower decks and on board the Endeavor. Oh, so this NPC, this one over here where you can purchase the versatile lures, this is on the big boat, this one, basically. And then it basically shows you how all of that is going to work. 1 to 49 gives XP, 50 to 79 gives XP and yellow scripts, and at level 80 gives you yellow and white scripts. Well, it's going to be pretty good, I think. Players who are inactive for more than 30 minutes in the firmament will be locked out. Good change. For example, the firmament, especially when the new patch goes live, it could be difficult to get into it. I remember when Ishgardian Restoration came out, some people just wouldn't be able to get into the instance because there was too many players. And say there's like 20 players just AFK there anyways. It's kind of like frustrating for people that do really want to do something, that there's just people AFK taking their spot, so it's good that they're going to be logged out. New mounts added. This is from the Ruby weapon trial, and then of course also the Chocobo barding. And then new minions have been added as well. I'm expecting one of these to come from the new dungeon. Number of crafter and gathering script required for certain items has been reduced. Always nice to see. And Gil is no longer given as a reward from collectibles. Okay. It's not too big of an issue or too big of a change. New achievements and titles have been added. Following adjustments have been made to achievements. Crafting and gathering achievements have been combined into a single category. Okay. And additional duties and trials now count towards the following achievements. Oh, this is basically your tanking stuff. All makes pretty much sense that the new content is going to be counting towards those as well. Duty time remaining will now be displayed prior to the disappearance of the circle restricting player movement. Okay change. Not hugely necessary, just basically some quality of life. So for example, if you are doing a savage raid, for example, and there's only 5 minutes left on the clock, you won't be able to finish it. So it basically will make it so that you're getting really close to a rage, you're almost going to kill the boss, and all of a sudden you get booted because the instance timed out. Now you'll be able to keep a... Now it basically will be more in your face to be like, hey look, you only have 5 minutes left, so re-instance before you pull the boss or something like that. So you don't get those annoying wipes where you're almost killing the boss and all of a sudden, yep, try again because your instance timed out. Upon completing a duty, the time until players are forced to leave has been changed from 10 minutes to the remainder of the duty time. In cases where the time is less than 10 minutes, a limit of 10 minutes will be used instead. I don't like this, actually. Because, for example, at the end of something like a 24-man, people would sometimes AFK and wait for other people to leave before they rolled on items, so they could get the items. For example, with Nier, this has definitely been the case for example, when the black robot drops, the minion, because that one has a very rare spawn, and then people would just like stay AFK until the timer of rolling for items would run out. Or actually, I guess the timer for rolling for items doesn't change, so this doesn't actually change much anyways. It basically gives people more time for taking screenshots if you have more than 10 minutes on the instance left. New retainer ventures have been added. Fees are now charged for items bought from the market board when the player is in the city where the item was listed. Interesting change. Don't really see why that was so necessary. Following additions and adjustments have been made to fellowships. I never use fellowships, so I am just going to skip past this. Following additions have been made to Waymarks. 3 and 4 are now available. Up to 8 Waymarks can now be set. Can also be saved and loaded. Position of Waymarks placed in duties can be saved to one of 5 slots. After entering a duty, select the relevant slot to load saved Waymark. Each slot displays information including marker type, time and date of creation. Waymarks cannot be saved in Eureka and in Deep Dungeons, but you don't really need those there anyways. Waymarks can no longer be placed or removed during combat. This is a really important one because it basically means that, in my opinion, this is only going to really affect UCOP, but UCOP is going to be a lot harder now because everybody's going to need to learn how to do nail dives on the fly and not rely on one person anymore to place markers during the quiet portion of the fight, I guess you could say. So this is going to be a pretty big change when it comes to ultimate raiding, especially for UCOP. I don't really see how... I guess for Alexander Ultimate in the final phase, we have somebody place markers as well for like save spots, so that we definitely don't forget where the save spot is for certain mechanics. But outside of this, it's not going to change a huge amount for like 99% of the player base, basically. Because how many times have you had to change markers during a fight? But yeah, for Ultimate, this is going to change some stuff. Going to make stuff harder. Adjustments have been made to the duty recorder. Copied Factory and Hades Extreme have been added, so you can go and record yourself in there if you want. All duty recorder stuff. Adjustments have been made to Party Finder. Exploratory missions are now gathering forays. This is because Diadem is not an exploratory mission anymore, but it is now a gathering piece of content. And when recruiting for alliance raids, recordable toggle allows you to specify that the duty recorder may be used. Not super important because I don't really think many people use the duty recorder anyways. When the duty commencement window appears, you may now view your duty finder settings. So basically the settings that are applied to your duty finder are going to be shown here. This is really good for example, if somebody is trying to cheat you out of a mount or something like that by using Lootmaster. I don't know if it happens that much lately because I haven't actually been doing much extreme primals. But back in the day, people would be like, oh, mount farm for this boss, and then sneakily put it onto Lootmaster, and if somebody wouldn't like notice the little chat message, if the mount dropped, they could just Lootmaster it to themselves, which was really annoying. But now you'll basically be able to see exactly what settings are on the party thingy. So for example, if somebody forgets undersized party, if you're doing unsynced content or something like that, this is basically going to be a good change to just see exactly what you're getting yourself into. Measures will be displayed regarding the associated penalty when you withdraw. That's fine. Message will only display it in cases where penalties apply rather than every time the withdraw button is used. That's a good change because, for example, if you're in a full party, in a full pre-made when you go into Savage and you leave, it could say like, oh, are you sure you want to leave because you could get 15-minute lockout or whatever. But it wouldn't apply anyways because it was a full party. Now basically that message is only going to show up when a penalty actually will be in place. Frontline Freelancer has been removed from the duty finder. I think that is because, oh actually, are they just getting rid of Freelancer? Or maybe they're making everybody a Freelancer when you queue now. Who knows? Yeah, this is PvP stuff, by the way. Once the duty commencement window has appeared, players can no longer move to another area. I think that was already the case. Reply in selected chat mode has been added to subcommands from player names in the chat log. It's now possible to change the chat channel to that of a selected player. Okay. Party members, tab of social window, alliance party members stat, free company, PvP team window, and novice network window. Will this mean that there's going to be different chat windows now? Not quite sure. Player logs out during the 72-hour period in which they have returner status. Does not log in again for 45 days. They will receive returner status again. Okay. Camera distance when logging out will be retained upon logging back in. That basically means that I won't have to zoom out my camera every time that I log back into the game. Recommendations window is locked when logging out. It will now be locked when logging back in. Basically, they're making it so that when you log out, your settings and stuff will be the same when you log back in. They did this a while ago for chats. For example, if you had free company chat active when you logged out, you would log in and your free company chat would still be active. Rather than you having to do like /FC to get back to your free company chat. Requirements for acquiring certain toy chest minigames have been adjusted. This is event stuff. Those are basically minigames that came from an event. They're now changed. Dice command has been added. Display a random number from 0 to 99. This was mainly used in, for example, statics to, for example, roll for gear. But before the /dice command, we would just use the /random command. So this is going to change nothing, just a different command now. Following options have been added to character configuration, alarm notifications. This is, I believe, for if you set up alarms for gathering points, stuff like that. Display name size for the general tab, okay. Adjustments have been made to text commands, /dice command, nameplate display and nameplate type. New subcommands for the Waymark text command have been added. So this is probably to save Waymarks and stuff, I would imagine. Place, remove, Waymark 3 overrides existing Waymark if target is specified. Okay. Additions have been made to auto translation. Have been made to PlayStation 4 auto translation. I don't really see why they would have a different one. Why they would specify this a different one. new music, and then the launcher layout has been updated, Windows and PS4. Okay, so that's pretty much the preliminary patch notes. Stuff like job changes is missing in here. When the official 5.2 patch notes come out, which is probably going to be like 24 hours or something before the patch goes live, and there is a lot of new stuff that they added, then I'll go over that new stuff in a separate video as well. If not, if it's only like job changes or something like that, I'll probably still make a video about it, because job changes are pretty important for most people that watch this kind of stuff. But if not, if there's not too many changes, I'll just quickly go over job changes and stuff like that when the patch notes do come out. And then of course I'll also go over all of the other stuff that has changed. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.